I don't know if the Catholic Church will ever survive this or come back from this. It's supposed to be the rock, but this exposes everything about the last Pope. And I hope the Catholics figure it out. And I hope they stop doing a bunch of other things they're not supposed to be doing. But it's important to see this. And I'm going to leave this one stand alone. Anyway, check it out.
Pope Francis spent his lifetime pushing the limits of blasphemy. He gave the World Economic Forum permission to draft a fact-checked version of the Holy Bible. He declared that atheism and Satanism are valid pathways to God. He said that paedophiles can find a place in heaven. And he insisted that Christianity must merge with Islam to form a one-world religion. Then came the proclamation that stunned even his longtime critics. His close friend Klaus Schwab, architect of the Great Reset, is more important than Jesus in these end times. And yet, Francis's defenders kept bending over backwards, contorting truth into loyalty and defending the indefensible. Then, gasping for breath on his deathbed, on the holiest day in the Christian calendar, the Pope descended even further into the Luciferian abyss. Francis opened up about his battle with pneumonia early this year. He claimed he was clinically dead for 21 minutes. And in that time, so he said, he left his body, crossed over, and found no God in the afterlife. No Jesus, no love, only darkness and demons. The New World Order Pope, whose deeply symbolic death prompted Klaus Schwab to abruptly resign, died as he lived, spreading deceit and promoting Satanism. Good luck defending him this time. Before we dive in, join the TPV free speech community over on Soju. Soju is a digital space where ideas and information can take place without any annoying algorithms or restrictive rules getting in the way of free expression. As Francis perishes and Schwab flees the stage, it's worth remembering. The guards change, but the agenda never does. Power shifts, puppets fall, but the hand pulling the strings remains the same. Evil doesn't retire. Evil doesn't sleep. It just puts on a new mask. On Sunday, Pope Francis was pushed forward in his wheelchair to greet the Easter crowds, frailer than usual, gaunt from his recent hospitalization. But it wasn't his appearance that left those in attendance stunned. And it wasn't the standard Easter sermon. It was what he said after the address. Later that night, on his deathbed, the Pope revealed he had died in hospital, clinically dead for 21 minutes during his battle with pneumonia. During that time, he claims his soul left his body. He crossed over, but he did not find heaven. There was no throne of God, no Christ, no light. Only darkness and demons. God is dead, the Pope told those who were listening. Jesus did not meet me, there was no light. And then, most chilling of all, he declared that the time had come to move on from the old religions. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, he says they must merge, not out of unity, but out of necessity. A new religion is coming, he says. One that transcends scripture and tradition. One that worships global governance, climate salvation, and human enhancement. Not faith in the divine, but a return to the primacy of nature. And the question no one seems to be asking is, why? Why now? And why this message? Why would the supposed vicar of Christ, the spiritual leader of over 1 billion Catholics, declare that God is dead and that Jesus never appeared in the afterlife? Why would he open his lying mouth on Christianity's holiest day to dismantle the very foundation of the faith he was supposed to uphold? The answer may be darker than most dare to imagine. Pope Francis wasn't just questioning tradition, he was actively defying biblical scripture, and he was doing it in plain sight. For years now, there were warnings, whispers of a coming one-world religion, a new world order, foretold by prophecy feared by theologians. And Francis? He wasn't stopping it. As an agenda contributor at the World Economic Forum, he was building it. Perhaps the first unmistakable signal came when Francis shocked the Christian world by opening the Vatican. Not just as a place of pilgrimage for Catholics, but as a platform for Islamic and Jewish prayers.
Pope Francis says he hopes his prayer summit with Israeli and Palestinian leaders at the Vatican will help bring peace to the Middle East. Francis says too many children have been killed by war. He says peace calls for the courage to say yes to encounter and not to conflict. Jewish, Christian, and Muslim prayers were offered in the Vatican gardens. Israeli President Shimon Peres and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas both attended.
This wasn't interfaith dialogue. This was the first brick in a new spiritual Tower of Babel. Then, right on cue, Francis told Christians that personal and direct relationships with Jesus are harmful and must be avoided at all costs.
C'è chi ritiene di poter avere un rapporto personale, diretto, immediato con Gesù Cristo, al di fuori della comunione e della meditazione della Chiesa. Sono tentazioni pericolose, sono tentazioni dannose.
Because when you remove Jesus, when you erase the cross, what's left? A faith without God, a church without a centre, and a world looking for something, anything, to fill the void. Instead of seeking relationships with Jesus, Christians around the world should visit mosques and praise Allah, said Francis, as he led by example by entering the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, taking off his shoes, facing Mecca, and praising the Muslim God.
Walking into Sultan Ahmed Mosque, Pope Francis did as millions of visitors before him have done. He paused to take in one of the greatest masterpieces of Ottoman architecture. Guided through the mosque by Istanbul's Grand Mufti, this was the Pope concentrating more on religious affairs on the second day of his visit to Turkey. Both men stopped to pray towards Mecca. It was, for the Pope, a moment of silent adoration, according to the Vatican.
Then, to ram his point home, Francis prayed with chanting Buddhists, violating every ancient canon and committing what Mortaleum Animos identifies as apostasy. As if his position wasn't already crystal clear, as if denying Christ and welcoming prayers from other faiths weren't enough, then came the pagan ceremony. A moment so brazen, so spiritually jarring, it sent shockwaves through even the most open-minded corners of the Christian world. On Vatican grounds, sacred soil where saints are buried and martyrs once stood, Pope Francis presided over a ceremony featuring idol worship. Not metaphorical, not symbolic, literal. When it comes to the life of Pope Francis, those who cannot understand the significance of symbols are blind to the truths hidden in plain sight. Because this isn't just about speeches. It's not just about policy or theology. It's about ritual, imagery, signals. The language of the elite has always been symbolic. And Francis, more than any pope before him, speaks in signs. A bent crucifix, a black ring, a staff twisted like the spine of a serpent. Even the timing of his death, crossing over as the clock struck midnight on the holiest day of the Christian calendar. Those aren't coincidences. They are deliberate declarations for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Someone should have reminded Pope Francis of God's word. You shall have no other gods before me. It's literally written in stone. Try Exodus 23, Matthew 4:10, or Luke 4:8. The message is clear. Worship God alone. But Francis wasn't interested. He was too busy overruling scripture, declaring God dead, and replacing Christianity with a globalist faith he called Chrislam, a blend of Christianity, Islam, and control. So now the question is, if God isn't at the center of the church, who or what is? And what's coming next? Today's sponsor is pillsforever.com. If you think Big Pharma have your best interests at heart, think again. Under Biden, the price of medicine in America has skyrocketed, and there are certain medicines Big Pharma don't want you to know about. That's why I've partnered with pillsforever.com. All of their FDA-approved medicines are the cheapest you'll find anywhere. More importantly, you can order medicines that Big Pharma don't want you to have, such as ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and fenbendazole. Speaking of fenbendazole, not only does it get rid of parasites that live inside your body, there have been studies that show fenbendazole can help with cancer. Listen to this testimony of Joe Tippins, a cancer survivor, thanks to fenbendazole.
2 years ago, Joe Tippins says he was told to go home, call hospice, and say his goodbyes. The doctors were unanimous. He was going to die of small cell lung cancer.
Once that kind of cancer goes that far afield, the odds of survival are less than 1%, and the median life expectancy is 3 months.
Tippins says he got a tip, not from a pharmacist, but a veterinarian. And in his desperation, he turned from people medicine to dog medicine. Specifically, fenbendazole.
My insurance company spent $1.2 million on me with traditional means before I switched to a $5 a week medicine that actually saved me.
Get 15% off using coupon code People's Voice at the checkouts. Please click the link below this video to take advantage of this fantastic offer. These are dark times for the world. The New World Order isn't coming, it's already prepared, waiting in the wings. And now, the spiritual leader of the Catholic Church was no longer defending the faith. He was openly preaching heresy. He was not warning about the end times, he was helping usher them in.
And justly now, Pope Francis has spent all night screaming at demons who are trying to drag him to hell. The Vatican has confirmed. 88-year-old Francis remains in hospital battling kidney failure, brought on by double pneumonia. But this battle pales in comparison, posed by the beclawed, soul-eating demons from hell.
The question isn't whether the church is under attack. The question is, has it already fallen from within? Those who knew Jorge Bergoglio best say the answer is a resounding yes.
The Fourth Revolution, theorized by Klaus Schwab and the family of international finance, find in Bergoglio not a neutral spectator, which would itself already be an unheard of thing, but actually a zealous cooperator who abuses his own moral authority in order to support a destra outside the church the project of the dissolution of traditional society, while ad intra within the church he pursues the project of the demolition of the church in order to replace her with a philanthropic organization of Masonic inspiration.
Which raises the question, was Francis the false prophet or the Antichrist foretold in the Bible? Christian scholars are increasingly settling on an answer that might surprise you. From the moment that Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio became Pope in 2013, prophecy experts expressed their alarm, claiming that the new Pope is Peter the Roman, the fulfillment of an extraordinarily accurate ancient prophecy. According to the prophecy that has accurately predicted each and every Pope in recent years, Francis will be the final Pope and the end of the world, because he is the Antichrist.
As soon as Pope Francis entered the church, everyone was shocked because of the prophecy of one very important saint, Saint Malachi. Now, before you dismiss this as just another prediction, what if I told you that there's a lot of new evidence that this ancient prophecy is playing out right now? Sounds eerie, right? So let's understand what the prophecy is all about, what has been predicted, and how accurate it is. Now, the current Pope of the Catholic Church, who goes by the name Pope Francis, raised quite a stir among prophecy enthusiasts. They are claiming that St. Malachi's vision pointed straight at this year, dubbing this new pope as Peter the Roman, the final piece of the prophetic puzzle. Pope Francis, originally known as Jorge Maria Bergoglio from Argentina, has raised questions. Despite his chosen name, some believers argue that hidden within his birth name is a connection to Peter. And get this, they're also making a case that he's a true Roman because his family has Italian roots even though he's from Argentina. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. Let's travel back in time to figure out where this prophecy comes from. The prophecy of the popes is like a list of 112 mysterious sayings in Latin that tries to tell who the Catholic popes will be, starting with Celestine II. It showed up in 1595, introduced by a monk named Arnold Wyan. He claimed that it came from visions of Saint Malachi, who was an archbishop in the 12th century. The story goes like this. Malachi supposedly had a vision during a trip to Rome that revealed the names of every pope, 112 in total, from his time until the end of days. Think of it like a series of popes, and we're now reaching the last chapter. He wrote down these visions in mysterious verses, sealed them in Vatican's secret archives, and they remained hidden for centuries. Then along came Arnold Wyan, who uncovered this ancient manuscript just in time for a holy conclave in the 16th century. Of all the ancient prophecies in the Roman Catholic Church, Saint Malachi's prophecy stands out as one of the most discussed subjects that has captivated the minds of many historians. While some people question if his predictions are for real, others find them super interesting and surprisingly accurate. And here is where you might want to pay very close attention. According to him, the 112th Pope would be the last one. His words get intense, predicting a tough time for the Holy Roman Church. His prophecy for this year ominously states, "In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will pastor his sheep through many tribulations. And when these things are finished, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people." The end. So, are we nearing the climax of Saint Malachi's prophecy? Well, it sure appears so.
This is where it gets really disturbing. Before he was the Pope, he was a nightclub bouncer and janitor in Argentina. After joining the priesthood, he became Archbishop of Buenos Aires from 1998 to 2013 and president of the Argentine Bishops' Conference from 2005 to 2011. And he did nothing, absolutely nothing, to fight sexual abuse. This is why Archbishop Vigano is adamant that Francis was the false prophet. And Vigano is not the only one. There is a growing movement within the church who are convinced that Francis was a demon stalking the hallways of the Vatican, whose globalist ideals were causing enormous harm around the world and threatening the future of humanity itself.
Now let's rewind a bit to October 19th, 2013, and you might want to listen closely here. A Catholic bishop named Bernard Fellet, who is more of a traditionalist, gave a warning. He said that Pope Francis was causing the church to decline and might be signaling the start of something really bad, like the age of the Antichrist. That's a pretty serious warning, don't you think? One of the most devastating blows came in the form of an 11-page letter which hit the scene on August 25th, 2018. This letter was from Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, who used to be the Pope Nuncio to the United States. In this letter, Archbishop Vigano accused Pope Francis of being neglectful in his responsibilities to the church, specifically concerning a guy named Theodore McCarrick. The accusation was that, despite knowing about sexual abuse allegations against McCarrick, both the Vatican and Pope Francis didn't take proper action. Moreover, the letter didn't hold back. It even called for him to step down from his role as Pope. And here we are, fast forward to today. The drama around Pope Francis doesn't just stay in the Vatican City, it's spilled all over the internet and YouTube. People are buzzing with charges and accusations, and it's becoming increasingly evident. It's not just regular guys on the internet. Priests, bishops, cardinals, and lay scholars are becoming vocal critics of the Pope.
So, what is the endgame? What was Francis preparing the world for? We will let those who knew the Jesuit Pope best speak for themselves.
What I've gathered from all the reports is that the George Soroses of the world, the Bill Gates, everybody involved in this reset, so to speak, and the Holy Father is their spiritual leader. I don't hesitate to say it because I'm not revealing anything that hasn't been all over the news and the Vatican and every place else, is that they want to control the world population, completely have us under their control. The world population is too big. And so this COVID vaccine has been invented to eliminate us, to kill off a great percentage of the population so that what's left, they have a reasonable hope. I hate to use those words of Bishop Barron, a reasonable hope of killing and controlling the rest of us. So I don't think such a horror book has ever been written, horror novel has ever been written, but it's true. And I believe it 100%, and I think our time is limited.
Pope Francis's deathbed claim that he saw no light in the afterlife, that God is dead, and Jesus wasn't waiting for him, gives an indication of exactly where Francis can be found right now. In the demonic realms of the lower astral, screaming with the other demons who've been manipulating human society for eons. Here at the People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the elites, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our amazing team and gain access to exclusive and uncensored content. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online without Big Brother spying and censoring your every move? IPv6ers is set to revolutionize the way information is disseminated on the internet by eliminating the need for big tech companies to provide unreliable, overpriced services such as self-hosting, email, and data management. IPv6ers enables an easy and accessible way for you to host your own web and email server with direct end-to-end connections and enhanced security. This means no snooping from Big Brother and no interference from the technocratic elite. If Hillary Clinton can get away with running her own server, why shouldn't you? Go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 to sign up, or click the link below this video to take back control of the internet and win the info wars against the globalists. If you like our content, help support our sponsor IPv6ers and go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 today. Thank you IPv6ers for making this video possible.